It's Twilight time again, girls. Today I am determined to finish Eclipse. This has been going on for far too long. We are just going to straight shoot from, I believe, chapter 16 right to the end, and we're not stopping for anything. So grab a drink, make sure you've had a piss. There are no pit stops on this ride. If you'd like a quick recap of what's happened so far, basically nothing. There's been the whole pseudo love triangle between Edward, Jacob, and Bella going on. And the only thing that's actually happened that's moved the plot along somewhat is a new mystery vampire has showed up and stolen one of Bella's jumpers. But man has no idea who the fuck it is at the moment. So we're about as in the dark as we were when the narrative started. In chapter 16, Bella is going to her high school graduation, and Alice is, of course, dressing her because Alice just acts as Bella's personal stylist. Alice picks a blue dress for Bella, not because it's a colour that Bella particularly likes, but because it's the colour that Edward likes best on her. Obviously, I hate this, but the thing that I hate more about it is I know that if you had asked Bella what colour she wanted to wear, she also would have picked blue because that's the colour that Edward likes best on her. If you remember in the last chapter, Bella and Jacob had a bit of an incident, and Jacob tried to kiss Bella, and Bella said no, and it was all very awkward. I'm going to snap my fingers right now and take us all to the timeline where what I just said is true, and Jacob didn't do anything else too horrific, and we're never going to talk about it again. Jacob turns up to the graduation. Bella says, "I was conscious of cheering in the back of the gym, and I looked around to see Jacob pulling Charlie to his feet, both of them hooting in encouragement." And leaving aside everything that happened in the last chapter and taking it as Stephanie Meyer wants me to take it, which is as an unwanted advance from a close friend and just an unfortunate situation and not assault. This is kind of sweet. And it feels so wrong to say that anything Jacob says is sweet now, but it's just going to be impossible for us to move on unless we forget. Unless we all collectively forget. Forget what? I don't know. I already snapped my fingers. Moving right along to chapter 17. The Cullens have decided to have a graduation party at their house so that Bella can have this one final celebration with all of her high school quote-unquote friends, because we all know that she doesn't actually have any human friends at this fucking school. They wanted to have this last human experience with them all before she never sees them again and has to fake her death, right? I actually did want to take this opportunity to talk about Alice a little bit more because I feel like I've neglected her in these reviews so far, but that's because it feels like a lot of the Cullens as secondary characters get reduced to one or two personality traits that they kind of fall back on to focus on Edward and Bella, the main attraction. So Alice, is kind of reduced to this girly girl vampire who likes makeup and fashion and arranging events, right? And she's the one who's arranged this graduation. I actually like Alice. I think she might be my favourite of the Cullens, in all honesty. She's the most interesting. Her gift is the most interesting. I find her backstory interesting. She's got that little hint of something more that the other Cullens kind of don't have. She's a little bit more 3D than the other guys. I also do really like the fact that Bella's best friend within the narrative is this girly girl, because it would have been really easy with Bella's not like other girls trope thing going on for her to be really disparaging of girls who like fashion and things. So good on Stephanie Meyer for the representation, I guess. Jacob turns up to the party. This is the first time he and Bella have seen each other since the kiss, and he immediately apologises. Obviously, I think we're way past an apology at this point, but Bella accepts because she's dumb. Jacob's excuse is that he kind of convinced himself that Bella wanted the kiss, and, I can see this as a real reason. We have narratives in our heads all the time. We see signals where there aren't signals, because we want the other person to like us, right? But that doesn't excuse what Jacob did. Just wanted to say that one last time because apparently I can't let it go, even though I keep saying that I'm going to. So the vampires have previously been making a plan about going and taking out the newborns that they think are hanging around in Seattle because they don't want the Volturi to show up. Jacob gets wind of this plan from Alice and offers himself and the werewolves as reinforcements to help with this plan. And they get really excited together planning this, right? The book says, Alice was on her toes, Jacob leaning down toward her, both of their faces lit up with excitement, both of their noses wrinkled against the smell. I completely forgot about Jasper, Alice's boyfriend, in this moment because I've written down I would have taken this pairing, and I absolutely would have done. I think it would have been really interesting to see Alice and Jacob develop feelings for each other as the series went along by kind of being forced together and wanting to put up with each other for Bella's sake. It would have even been interesting if we'd have kept up the thing where Jake likes Bella, right? Because it would have been this really nice story about him actually coming to be with somebody who likes him back, right? If Stephanie Meyer really wanted to unite the vampires and werewolves through romance, which is what I think she wanted to do with the whole Renesmee thing, this would have been a better way to do it. But unfortunately, Jasper does exist, so I am just writing fan fiction right now, and I do apologise for that. I hate it when other people do that. In chapter 18, we finally put it together that it's Victoria who is creating the newborn army. Victoria is just a shit villain. She has done absolutely, she's been around since the first book. She's shown no threat to us. We've never seen her even kill anybody, I don't think. Just kind of hanging around. She doesn't really know what she's doing, even with the newborns. Like, they're out of her control, according to what the Cullens say in this chapter. So she's shit. She offers no tension to the plot whatsoever. I'm more threatened by the Volturi, which is good, but even they just seem like kind of disinterested in these lesser vampires in a way. So am I really bothered by them? The vampires and werewolves go through some training in this chapter, and it's useless. It's just kind of them sparring each other. Don't really get any advice per se that they couldn't have figured out on their own. It's just boring and pointless, and I didn't like reading about it. So I think Jacob gave Bella this graduation present that he'd like made himself. He like carved a little wolf out of wood or something, and it's on a bracelet. And Edward gets jealous. It's so dumb. He gets jealous and he like gets her a present also. And Bella famously does not like presents. So she protests, and Edward says, well, Jacob Black can give you presents. And yeah, she was really grateful for Jacob's present, but that's because we know that Bella as a person does not like having money spent on her, and so Jacob spending the time to make this trinket means more to her than the stupidly expensive gifts that Edward keeps trying to shower her with. And Edward just won't get it into his thick skull, and it feels like grandstanding. The fact that he's jealous, it feels like dick swinging. I just don't like it. So Edward says that if Bella's going to be wearing Jacob's bracelet all the time and thinking of Jacob every time she sees this bracelet, then he wants a little bit of representation as well. And in my notes I was like, this is petty and dumb, and I bet it's tacky as hell. And I was right, because man gives her this big fucking show-offy diamond thing that he says is a hand-me-down, so we didn't actually spend any money on it, but it's still very obviously really expensive and looks stupid next to Jacob's handmade fucking charm made of wood or some shit. And it's not that it makes Jacob's charm look stupid, his charm looks stupid because it's not a bit of Bella. And like Edward just doesn't seem to understand that. Edward's describing to Bella how the pack hive mind works, and he starts telling her all this gossip that we just didn't need to know. He's talking about Seth's mum, how she was with a guy who wasn't a member of the tribe, and so he shouldn't technically be a werewolf. So that means that one of the other guy's dads cheated on their mum to create Seth, okay? And I don't know that if this is ever resolved or brought up again, and I just think it was stupid to put it into the narrative if we weren't going to at least conclude on that. Two of the werewolves are half-brothers, and they don't even know it, and we just never talk about it again. It's just petty drama that Edward just wanted to share with Bella, which is cute. I do love sharing drama with my boyfriend, but we are just padding out this book right now, right, Steph? Edward asks Alice in this chapter to babysit Bella, and I just don't think they've ever been so open about it before, so I thought I'd mention it. So finally, the Cullens have a plan. They're going to confront the vampires, they're going to set a trap, and they're going to kill all the newborns, and they're going to ice Victoria once and for all. Bella's terrified that Edward is going to get fucking killed, and so she convinces him to sit out of the fight with her and go and let his family fight for them without him. She's talking to Alice about it. And Alice says, I suppose if he keeps you sane, it's worth it. But I wish you could control the pessimism, Bella. It's so unnecessary. Would you let Jasper go without you? I demanded. Alice grimaced. That's different. Sure it is. It is fucking different, Bella. They're both vampires. You, as a human, are only going to get in the way and distract everyone and make it all frenzied and crazy. Edward's going to be trying to protect you instead of his head being in the game. It's going to be a disaster, okay? Alice and Jasper can go together because they are both equals in this situation, okay? There was a second set of training with the werewolves, and I was hoping that this time it was going to go a little bit more in depth and we were going to get like something interesting out of it. And Bella literally in the narrative says she deliberately doesn't watch it because she doesn't want to see she doesn't want to fret over anybody getting hurt, okay? And at this point, I'm so done with how much of a pussy Bella is. Like, it just really irritates me. I just can't stand her when she's like this. There's this weird moment at the end of the chapter where Jacob is in wolf form, and I guess Bella's petting him. And Bella says, it was strange. Even though he was in this bizarre form, this felt more like the way Jake and I used to be than the last few times I'd been with Jacob while he was human. And the reason I say it's weird is because I think it's odd that Stephanie Meyer would put this in here if she really didn't believe that what Jacob did in like chapter 15 or whatever wasn't assault. Because this is very clearly Bella showing signs of being uncomfortable around Jacob since that happened. And she's more comfortable with him in this wolf form because he's... Right, this was not what I was originally going to say, but now I can't phrase it in any other way. But like Jacob, in being a wolf, is like castrated in Bella's mind, and so he's no longer like a sexual threat. I hate, I hate everything that I've just said, and I'm sorry. I'm deep in it, but I am right. I feel like that moment is telling of how Bella feels towards Jacob in his human form, that she can only have this comfortability with him now when he's a wolf. And I feel like if Maya really didn't think that what Jacob did was wrong, she wouldn't have put that in there. And so I think that she has more understanding of that than we give her credit for. And maybe she just has a little bit too much forgiveness for Jake and for the thing that he did. Maybe she doesn't view it as bad as we do, I guess. I don't know. She's older than us, guys. It was a different time back then. These things, they've changed. Chapter 20, okay. This is the bit where Edward's going to give her the big stupid diamond trinket that I was talking about earlier. He's like hinting that he's got a surprise for Bella. He says, I have something for you, he said, his tone conversational. Oh, your hand-me-down, remember? You said that was allowable? Oh, that's right, I guess I did say that. He chuckled at my reluctance. It's up in my room. Shall I go get it? His bedroom. Sure, I agreed, feeling quite devious as I wound my fingers through his. Let's go. So Bella's like, oh, I can't be asked. He's going to give me a fucking tacky L gift that I'm going to have to pretend to be appreciative for. And then Edward's like, it's in my bedroom. And she's like, oh, the bedroom. Let's fucking go. Because Bella is fucking DFS, bro. She's permanently shopping in the store and she's got no chance of finding a door anytime soon because Edward could kill her with his dick. He goes into his room and he tries to hand her this gift and she just waltzes past him and like plops herself dramatically down into the middle of the bed. And then she's like, give it to me. She's hitting hard right now. She's down so bad. They get into it and Bella is hinting that she would like a different type of gift from Edward. And she's shy, obviously, so she's trying to like psych herself up to ask her boyfriend for the big sex, right? Edward's sitting there in the silence and he can't fucking stand it. He says, please Bella, the suspense is painful. I bit my lip. Bella? His tone reproached me now, reminded me that it was hard for him when I kept my thoughts to myself. Oh god, no Edward, not your girlfriend having her own private fucking mind. I can't stand it. Not silence for a whole minute, 60 seconds. No. He has to know every single thing that she's thinking at every given moment, and it drives me crazy because she wants to tell him. Hey guys, everybody wants to talk about how Edward is stifling Bella's sexuality by not letting her tap. But there's something I want to do before I'm not human anymore, I say. Whatever you want, he encouraged, anxious and completely clueless. Do you promise? I muttered, knowing my attempt to trap him with his words was not going to work, but unable to resist. Yes, he said. Tell me what you want and you can have it. She's trying to entrap him right now. She's trying to sexually exploit him, okay? And I won't have it. Equal rights, guys. Women can be villains too. We have to protect Edward Cullen's virtue at all costs. Anyway, Bella kind of tries to get into a hot and heavy makeout session with him, and Edward clicks on to what she's doing, immediately takes her arms from around his neck and says, be reasonable, Bella. As if she's a child trying to have like cookies at bedtime or something. Ice cream for breakfast. I find it funny. I'm sorry. I think it's funny. Stifling of a woman's sexuality is funny. I'm a bad feminist. I'm sorry. Does anybody find it appealing that Edward could possibly kill Bella during sex? Is this hot for some people? Because it's a really big focus for a lot of the story, and I just find it really funny. And I'm just wondering if anybody finds that like inherently romantic. You can let me know. Bella tries to kiss Edward again, and she starts like unbuttoning her blouse or whatever. And Edward goes, Bella, would you please stop trying to take your clothes off? Do you want to do that part? I asked, confused. She is so DTF right now. It's unreal, guys. She's just, this is the horniest I've ever seen this girl. I don't know what's wrong with her. Girl is ovulating for real. Points for Bella as a feminist icon though. Like, she's definitely sex positive, if nothing else. Next, we get this moment where Bella says, you make me feel like a villain in a melodrama, twirling my mustache while I tried to steal some poor girl's virtue. His eyes were wary as they flashed across my face. That's it, isn't it? The short laugh that escaped me was more shocked than amused. You're trying to protect your virtue. I covered my mouth with my hand to muffle the giggle that followed. Bro, like, she fully thinks that Edward's concerned about his virginity right now, and she's laughing at him. And I know we laughed at the pair of them for being virgins earlier, but come on, it's really rude to do it right to his face. Right, listen to this. Chapter 21. Jacob asks if Edward's a better kisser than him. And there's also a spelling mistake. Look. Does that mean he's a better kisser that I am? Instead of than I am? Oh, look at me. Genius. Bella replied, Bellub. Who the fuck is Bellub? I'm losing it. These books just always reduce my brain to mush. Bella responds, I really couldn't say, Jake. Edward is the only person I've ever kissed. Besides me, Jake says. And Bella says, but I don't count that as a kiss, Jacob. I think of it more as an assault. So she knows. She does know. Why has nobody ever given her credit for knowing? And why did she make Jacob do this? And then have him fall in love with a child? Oh my god. Oh my god, pause. Just pause. Chapter 22 is the famous cooking scene where Jacob, Edward, and Bella are all sitting out on the newborn fight in the cold mountain in a tent. And so Jacob and Bella have to get close in a sleeping bag together while Edward sits out because of his icy coldness that might once again kill Bella. Meanwhile, Jacob's running a fucking fever at all times, so he's perfect for this situation. Bella eventually kind of half drifts into sleep, and Jacob and Edward are rhapsodizing about how much they both love her and how Jacob's never going to have her and Edward will. And Edward eventually says, you know, Jacob, if it weren't for the fact that we were natural enemies and that you're also trying to steal away the reason for my existence, I might actually like you. Jacob says, maybe, if you weren't a disgusting vampire who was planning to suck the life out of the girl I love. Well, no, not even then. I'm not entirely sure that he means this, not as a joke, but even if he didn't, Edward's boring and I wouldn't like him in real life either, so fuck that man. In chapter 23, we're treated to this conversation. We open with Jacob talking about spending the night in the tent with Bella. I didn't say it wasn't the best night I've ever spent, just that I didn't get a lot of sleep. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, Edward murmured. Jacob's dark eyes fluttered open. Didn't you have a nice night then? He asked, smug. It wasn't the worst night of my life. Did it make the top 10? Jacob asked with perverse enjoyment. Love Jacob here, by the way. Possibly. Jacob smiled and closed his eyes. But, Edward went on, if I had been able to take your place last night, it would not have made the top 10 of the best nights of my life. Dream about that. Jacob's eyes opened into a glitter. He sat up stiffly, his shoulders tense. You know what? I think it's too crowded in here. I couldn't agree more. I elbowed Edward in the ribs, probably giving myself a bruise. So Bella just sits there and let them both talk about shagging her for a full 2 minutes, but then elbows Edward when he's a little bit rude to Jacob for talking about shagging his girlfriend, or thinking about shagging his girlfriend. What world are we living in? I snapped us into the wrong timeline at the beginning, guys. What is happening? Bella and Edward have by this point decided to get married before Bella turns into a vampire. And in order to get back at Jacob for the spat that they just had, when he is outside the tent, Edward brings up the marriage. And they hear Jacob have this hissy fit and turn into a wolf outside and start howling or whatever. And it's just such a dick move from Edward because he knows that Bella hasn't had the chance to tell Jacob yet. I really hope this is about the marriage and not about the fucking vampire transformation because I'm going to sound like an idiot right now. But either way, Edward lets out this information that Bella hasn't told Jacob yet, and Jacob's really upset. And Bella blames herself for not telling Jacob sooner, instead of being mad at Edward for basically like outing her before she was ready. Bella chases after Jacob, and they have this heated moment in the woods. Here are some choice quotes from that heated moment. Jacob says, there's a pretty serious fight brewing down there. I don't think it'll be that difficult to take myself out of the picture. What's the difference, Bella? This will only make it more convenient for everyone. You won't even have to move. Goes on to say, I don't have to do anything deliberate. I could just do my best for my pack and let what happens, happen. He shrugged. If you could convince me you really did want me back. How? I asked. You could ask me, he suggested. Meaning, like, he said he was never going to kiss her again unless she asked. And so he's basically Jacob. It's not funny. It's emotional manipulation. I tried to view it as genuine. I tried to view it in any other way other than manipulation. But he's really just fighting so dirty right now because of what Edward's just done. And Bella's just in the middle being a complete idiot being used right now. So I'm mad. Jacob is coming out here like, I'm so upset. I am going to go down there and I'm going to let myself get taken out by baby vampires because I can't handle the fact that you're going to marry Edward Cullen and be a vampire forever. I may as well just die and make it easier for everyone. That is what he's doing right now. And Bella's falling for it hook, line and sinker like an idiot because she goes on and she says, oh my god, I'm so mad. I'm so mad. This is the bit where I cried when I was a teenager because I couldn't believe that she was such an idiot that she would do this. Because she goes, will you kiss me, Jacob? His eyes widened in surprise and then narrowed suspiciously. You're bluffing. Kiss me, Jacob. Kiss me. And then come back. Bella Swan's a cheating bitch, 2025. I'm just going to come out and say it. It is Jacob's fault and he did manipulate her, but she's an idiot for letting him. There's just no way. Shut up. I'm just so done with all of these people. I just can't wait to get out of here. To make it even worse, he isn't satisfied with the first kiss that she gives him, and so he says, are you sure you want me to come back, or did you really want me to die? So that she'll like kiss him with tongues or something, or like fondle his balls. I'm so mad. I need to take a short break after this last bit because Stephanie May decides to round off the chapter like this. The utter defenselessness of his sudden joy cracked my determination, disabled it. My brain disconnected from my body and I was kissing him back. Against all reason, my lips were moving with his in strange, confusing ways they'd never moved before, because I didn't have to be careful with Jacob, and he certainly wasn't being careful with me. What is the message here? What is going on? This is the first and last time that Bella will ever give in to the love triangle that supposedly has been happening here this whole time, and I have no idea why Stephanie May decided to go back on her morals right now and do this. Was it just for the Jacob girls? Is this fan service? I need to know. I need to know. And I'm not enjoying this. I'm gonna put this book down for a minute. So in chapter 24, Bella obviously ends up running down into the fight, and she takes inspiration from the story of the third wife from the old tribal stories in that other chapter many moons ago. She fucking cuts herself to distract the baby vampires from nearly killing someone. Right, probably Edward. And it doesn't even matter. She didn't even have to do it. The narrative turns out to tell us. So it was completely pointless, and Bella just needlessly nearly killed herself, I guess. In chapter 25, Bella faints because she hears that Jacob's got mortally wounded, and a page later she wakes up and finds out that he's fine. Completely pointless. I've got a cute little nitpick for you. Bree nodded, seeming relieved that the conversation had taken this non-painful course. Painless, pain-free, both words that would have been better than non-painful, which I'm pretty sure nobody's ever said ever. The fight is over and the Cullens won, obviously. All of the baby vampires are dead, and the Volturi did in fact turn up, so Bella definitely 100% has to become a vampire sometime soon. It has sped up the timeline exponentially. Chapter 26. What have we got? Bella has a chance to speak to Jake, and he's generally being an arsehole about emotionally manipulating her into kissing him. She says, I don't care, Jake, I'm not mad. And he says, I don't care either. I knew you'd forgive me, and I'm glad I did it. I'd do it again. He's kind of the worst, but I'm just finding it funny right now because I'm in a silly mood. I'm sorry, guys. Chapter 27, Edward says that they don't have to get married, and he'll still shag Bella and turn her, so Bella can have everything that she wants. And I love that for her. Edward, once again, has restored himself as the king of the book right before the end. All is as it should be. The whole book ends on them officially getting married, but then we have a little epilogue at the end that is actually told from Jacob's point of view, which is foreshadowing for the terrible next book. He receives a wedding invitation. He describes it as too done up and formal. Bella had nothing to do with this. There was no sign of her personal taste in the layers of see-through petal-painted pages. I bet she didn't like it at all. And he is right. Bella doesn't like the choice of anything that Alice goes with because it's too pink and pretty and feminine, right? But I would pay any of you to tell me what Bella's taste is that isn't just, oh, whatever Edward likes. Bringing us round in a nice circle to what I said at the beginning of the video about the blue outfits, by the way. I just want to tell you the world's round. Life is round. That's it. That's the last note that I have for Eclipse. It is over. The newborn vampires were not a threat at all. They were done with within like 2 chapters. And Victoria is also dead. And she was useless for the entire series. So I'm glad to see her gone. The only other note that I have really about the whole thing is that the literary reference Stephanie May wanted to make this time was Wuthering Heights, and that meant that she needed a love triangle. And so she randomly decided to make Bella randomly decide that she is randomly in love with Jacob in the middle of kissing him against her will. Which is weird because the love triangle in Wuthering Heights was like a thing of necessity. Kathy and I think it's Edgar Linton writes. They're married out of like trying to bring 2 households together, not because she's in love with him and in love with Heathcliff. And that is the end of everything that I'm going to say about Eclipse. And now, oh my god, I was going to say we only have 1 book to go, but we actually don't, because I've fucking, for some reason, subjected myself to doing the short second life of Brie Tanner as well, because I just so happen to have it from my youth, okay? So we're going to be subjected to 2 more books, and one of them's Breaking Dawn, which counts as like at least 2 books in itself. So I'll see you next time.